Well, how are we, guys? As you can see, I've got some new lithium cells. Now these are 280 amp hour. The last battery that I built for myself was pretty sure 240 amp hours. Don't quote me on that. So I've ordered these on eBay, and the plan is to replace two other eBay batteries that I put in the camper. Now that does come, they did come with some bus bars, so what I'm going to do is check all the voltages and see what they're at. This is the packaging they come in, not too bad. But yeah, they look like they're in really good shape. They look like they are brand new cells. But yeah, no, very impressed with the quality by the looks of that. I don't know what that is. Maybe not brand new, I'm not sure. Looks like something's arced out there, but I don't know. I don't know what that is. Anyway, let's have a look. See if I can set this up so you can see. Alright, let's test these cells. .28 3.28 3.28 3.28. Looks like they actually come balanced already. Oh well, I'll still top balance them, put them together and use this little charger here to top balance them out. Probably take a few days. We'll come back when they're completely top balanced and stick them on a cheap Chinese BMS and do some testing with that BMS. I've got a Dali BMS that I'll probably be hooking up to this, but for now I'm just going to be testing out this cheap Chinese BMS. Keep it separate away from the battery as far as I can, just to make sure that, you know, if it does want to poop the bed so to speak, I can actually make sure it doesn't catch anything on fire or anything like that. It's a very cheap 300 amp BMS, but these being 280 amp hour cells, you're only really supposed to pull 280 amps out of them as well, so we shall see. Alrighty. Just in case anyone was wondering, 21.6 kilos for 4 280 amp hour cells. It's not too bad at all. So here is that 300 amp BMS. So looks like it's 100 amp per circuit board, and that's about it from what I can tell. I don't know that much about BMSs. I just know there are cheap ones and there are really bad ones. I'm not sure what this one is. I just saw it on eBay and thought I will give it a crack for what it was worth. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. You can still see a bit of flux on where they've soldered. I might neaten all these up, see if I can get into there as well. And yeah, stick some decent size cable lugs on the end of these and see how it goes and do some decent testing. Alrighty guys, here's the situation. It's been a very stressful week, but yeah, learn from my mistakes. Top balance the cells. Now they were all sitting up on the bench here, but they were sitting on top of this toolbox. Now I needed that toolbox, so I bear hugged the cells and lifted them up and pulled the toolbox down, put them on the ground, put the toolbox on the ground, and grabbed all the tools I needed and left the cells back up on the bench. But when I put the cells back on the bench, my elbow has touched this dial. Now this was on day 3 of charging the cells. Now yeah, it's one easy way to waste $1,290 basically, because I wound the voltage up to 4.2 without knowing, and obviously in a panic when I came out in the morning to go to the gym. I've seen the cells, and they were basically all sitting in a V shape up on the bench up there, and I just couldn't believe my eyes. As you can see, they're not in a great shape at the moment. And yeah, not even sitting level, can't even sit level. So we're going to learn something out of this. We're basically going to charge them back up, because the first thing I did was disconnect everything at 100 mile an hour, because I was freaking out thinking that they're going to explode. But they didn't explode or anything like that, nothing silly. As everyone knows, LIFEPO is actually pretty safe, reasonably safe anyway. So we're all going to learn something out of this. These were 280 amp hour cells, and I've hooked them up to a BMS, just a cheapo, and I'm charging it back up now. I put them on a load as soon as I realised that the cells were obviously expanded and basically destroyed. I put them on a load because I was worried that they were just too charged or whatever. I had no idea that the charger itself was at 4.2 because I disconnected everything so fast, and just could not believe that it had all gone wrong. But you know, figured out a couple of days later that I turned the charger back on to check the voltage and went, oh, and realised that it must have been bumped the night before. So it was the last day of top balancing and I stuffed them. Well, win some you lose some. So what I'm doing right now is charging the batteries back up. So what do we got here? 0 amps. Turn this back on. Sorry about the light flickering, guys. I know how annoying it is. Amps will turn up. It's getting charged up through the BMS. It's a 300 amp BMS. But yeah, should charge them back up, and we're gonna see what sort of capacity I can pull out of completely swollen cells. Have a go at that. Insane. So while they're sitting on concrete and I have a fire extinguisher nearby, we're going to learn and see what these completely pull. And I've got another BMV shunt that I'm going to hook up to them, and we'll just use that. I'll probably screen record with that and check and see what we can get out of the batteries. So keep in mind, these were 280 amp hour EVE cells, so if we can get 100 amp hours, I'll be blown away. I don't know what to expect, or if they catch fire. Yeah, it's just what happens, eh? Painful, very painful, but yeah, we'll see what happens. There you go, 19 amps going in. I've got my new load tester right here, 2 H4 bulbs and a light bar. The H4 bulbs I've hooked up low and high beams, so they pull 20 amps themselves. This pulls about 7.4, so should be a good load test anyway. Well, so far so good. We're charging at about 30 amps between 2 charges. See how it goes. Sorry about the flickering again. Alrighty. So, this BMS just had a blue light on it, and that does mean that it's fully charged, but I just checked the cells and they're all at like 3.52. It's kind of weird because they're actually really level. I think that was from leaving the BMS on the batteries overnight, because when I was charging them yesterday, these cells were all up at 3.4, but these ones are 3.37, I think. These two cells, they're a bit out of whack. So, but obviously leaving the BMS on them overnight must have leveled the cells back out again. But yeah, they're all at about 3.5 at the moment. This blue light was on just before. I've turned that charger off. I'm just leaving this charger on it now just to finish it off, and we'll see what happens. We'll start discharging them through the Victron shunt, and got our nice load there. Okay, cell 1 3.508, cell 2 3.470. We'll have to cell 3 3.518, cell 4 3.499. So that's quite a bit out of whack, but you could expect that from a bunch of swollen cells, eh? There is still some current going in. The light is on and it's still pushing in 3.6 amps. So that little blue light on this BMS turns on when it says it thinks it's fully charged, but as you can see, it's still pushing in a few amps. I'm going to let them all balance out as much as possible, and yeah, once I see zero current there, or the batteries blow up, either one. Once I see zero current there, we'll start doing the discharge test. But yeah, all the cells are quite a bit out of whack, as you can see. Very damaged. Right. Cell 1 3.543. Cell 2 is 3.504. It's quite a way off. 3.559. 3.5478. Back at cell 1 again. So all the cells except for cell number 2 are reasonably level. Now what are we putting in? We haven't got much left to go, I don't think. Yep, about 1 amp. Alright, the light's still on, and it's fully charged, I'm guessing, but it's definitely not. So we'll see once they're completely full. This is the cell that's a bit out compared to the other ones, whereas before it was these two. A bit unpredictable. The BMS is doing its job though, just taking its time, I suppose. It's probably got a pretty hard task with a bunch of stuffed cells. Oh, can't get over the size of them. Just insane. Oh well. What does everyone reckon we're going to get out of these 280 amp hour cells? I don't know. I've got no idea. I'm going to try and say, I'll be conservative and say 160 amp hours. I'll say that. If we get any more than that out of them, I'll be very surprised. Alright. We have zeroed out. Wonder what these cells are doing. Let's put this down quickly. See what they're doing. .535, 3.5, 3.550, 3.542. So they're a little bit out of whack, but yeah. Well, I'm gonna hook up this shunt and start discharging this battery, eh? And anyone interested in these Victron BMV 712s, you can actually get a blackface one. That's what I got this time. Comes with that, your display unit, your shunt, and your voltmeter. So actually one of these you can use for your main battery, obviously, for the one that you're checking all the time, but you can also hook up your secondary starter battery as well and monitor that as well if you really want to. And there's your communication cable between the shunt and this. Pretty easy, simple setup. The great thing about these is it tells you exactly what you need to have hooked up. So you've got your main earth, which just goes to the battery only, as it says, and then your loads and charger. So that would be your ground as well to the body of the car if you're using it on a car or a camper trailer or whatever. And that's only to the battery, so it measures exactly what comes in and out. Alrighty, so I'm just going to set it up through my phone on the Bluetooth app. It's much quicker and easier. So it's asking for battery capacity, so we're going to say 280 amp hours, but whether we get it is the next question. It'd be so funny if we did, but yeah, I would never rely on this battery ever. So I'm just going to set the app up and see how we go, hey? We're just doing an update. And the default pin when you hook up the Bluetooth is 6 zeros when you're using these. Okay, this is how it is defaulted. So we'll just go to settings, battery capacity. I think that's a default setting for 200 amp hours. We're just going to make it 280, so that's what it's supposed to be. Okay. We're not going to do anything else because I will synchronize it to 100% because that's about as good as it'll get. I did notice that the little light on the BMS turns off, which is good. Zero current because we're not pulling any current. Okay, let's start. Oh man, that's bright. We're pulling 26 amps, saying we've got 23 hours. I love how this actually tells you how much time you've got left, so it'll tell me how long it actually won't be quite accurate, to be honest, because it thinks there's 280 amp hours there. I don't think there's 280 amp hours there. Well, it's going to be quite interesting. And the good thing about this is it'll tell you exactly how long it's been since the last full charge cycles, deepest discharge. So when this completely dies, I'll be able to stick some power to it and bring the Victron shunt back to life and tell exactly how long the battery lasted. It's a good load test though. 25 amps, nearly 26. And also on this app, as you can see, it's pretty steady. Gives you a chart of exactly where the volts are and how many amps are coming out as well. So we'll come back when sorry, it's connecting again. We'll come back when the battery's flat, I suppose. and see how out of whack these cells are. It says 5 hours. Dropping the minutes as per second. Well, let's see. So in case anything happens, I'm keeping the light and this shunt as far as I can away from the batteries, just in case. And I've got a fire extinguisher sitting here ready to go, so we shall see what happens. I don't know why, but the app seems to think there's 3 minutes remaining and we're just at 119 amp hours. Still at 12.87 volts. Still pulling the same amount of current. Be interesting to see what this thing actually pulls. I did not even expect really to get to this point, but there we have it. Very strange. See how accurate the Victron app is, hey? Supposedly 3 minutes. 166 amp hours. Doing pretty good. It says 31%. I wonder how much it's actually going to pull. It'd be very interesting. Well, I've got to say I'm impressed. 191 amp hours so far. That's quite incredible. Alrighty guys, so just been reviewing the footage and realised that I shot the last few videos in time-lapse, which is really frustrating because I actually went over it all with the temperature gun, checked everything over as soon as it had finished the discharge, and everything was awesome. It was all sitting on 22 degrees, even the BMS was sitting on 24 degrees, nothing to be alarmed about, to be honest. And yeah, I'm not very happy with this DJI camera. I think I'll go back to the GoPro for filming everything, but I thought I'd try that out. But I think the DJI Osmo camera really is, it's only good for time lapses really, or still shots, or while the camera's sitting still, it's good at filming things going past it. But yeah, it's nowhere near as good as the GoPro Hero 10. But basically, we pulled 252 amp hours out of the battery, so that's quite incredible. That's way better than I expected, and yeah, as you can see, the last ones were in time lapse, which is frustrating, but yeah, 252 amp hours out of a 280 amp hour cell pack. I thought that was pretty good for destroyed packs. Yeah, as much as I was bummed about the cells now, I've already got 2 sets coming on the way here. But the interesting thing was I charged them back up, and on the Victron app it said that I had charged them back up 3.3 kilowatts, and it showed that I'd only discharged them 3.2 kilowatts. So I think that's quite interesting. I'm wondering if I should do another discharge test and film that as well later on, and see what you guys think. Tell me what you reckon in the comments. It was an epic fail on my behalf. I should have been paying more attention. I obviously bumped the voltage on the charger. I'm pretty bummed about the cells. Obviously it's $1,290 that are down the drain, but very happy that I can film it for everyone else. And just be careful when you're building things like this. It's pretty serious bit of kit, 280 amp hours, and sticking it in the battery and doing it all yourself. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep testing these cells. I don't know if I'm gonna bin them, to be honest. Quite keen on doing some experiments with them. Maybe even do a high discharge experiment and hook it up to the camper. I don't know yet. We shall see. Well, thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you on the next video.